Hey, what's up?
RJ Fantasy Football Talk. We here. Let's get it. What's going on, JJ?
Hey, nothing much, First week of the playoffs are out the way. It went pretty well on my end. I was in six. I'm in six leagues. I had six playoff appearances and did well in all of them. Only got bounced from one of my six leagues, so I'm happy with what I got so far going on. How about you?
I'm good. I was in one playoff game this week. I had a bye
Right?
in one, and actually I got another league where the playoffs actually start this week. So basically, I'm in three playoff games this week, and hopefully I'm gonna try to win all of them. Get to the championship game and advance to the second round in the other one. So
Okay.
see what happens.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, it's been a good fantasy week. It's been a little crazy,
Oh,
but it's been
it's
crazy.
been wild, especially with all the injuries to wide receivers, especially. It's
Yeah,
going to
we
be
can
some
talk about that.
challenges for people as they go into week two. I say that
Oh,
much.
definitely, we're gonna talk about that. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
welcome again, people. First of all, I would like to say thank you for everybody that actually tuned into the podcast via Facebook, via YouTube.
Right.
I appreciate y'all, and just keep it coming. If you have any questions, just get with us. We would definitely answer them for you. And we're here for you. So
Yeah.
just chime in with us today. And let us know what you got. So first thing JJ, I would like to talk about today is
Okay.
I would like to chime in on some waiver pickups that we have going into next week.
Okay, we'll start there.
Okay, and we can start with you if you want to go first, or I can go first. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. What you want to do?
All right, well, I get started with a few. It's Wednesday, so a lot of you I know probably already made your waiver pickups this morning. But if you're still on the fence and trying to decide some stuff you need, try to give out some advice. I like coming off of last week's performance. One of my top performers I got going. If you can get him on waiver wires, I like Fitzpatrick. He's been down the last couple of weeks, but who are they playing this week?
Not sure. I have to. Hold on.
Uh oh.
Hold on.
I know
All
you
right.
know it.
Uh,
It's the team that we just saw, the Eagles and Carson Wentz to go off on them.
they playing them this week.
They're
Oh my
playing
god.
exactly. They're playing the Giants. So I think Fitzpatrick is going to have a really good game. So
Okay.
if you can get him on waiver wires, I think that's going to be a nice pickup.
Honestly, I like that. Honestly,
Yeah,
that's the matchup is there. Obviously,
yeah,
defense terrible.
exactly,
So
exactly. So
I like the matchup, but my my way where I pick up
uh,
mostly that I would go for is actually two. So
okay,
I would say Tannehill, and I
Tannehill's
would say
definitely up there, right?
um, AJ Brown
Okay,
are my two, which are they're on the same team basically, but that connection that they have right now is
right.
really really amazing. And Tannehill's been balling, so
Tannehill's been really good. I like what they're doing in Tennessee. They're talking about giving him a long term contract. So they're giving him the keys.
hey, I mean, I can't sit here and agree with his long term contract, but I think going forward next week,
Right.
I think he's a really good play as far as quarterback wise, and then that tandem that he has with AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Also
I think
taking into
he's
the
a good
point,
pickup too if you can get him in your league. So yeah.
well, he's actually owning about 29%
Yeah.
of Yahoo right now, so he's still out there for most
Yeah.
people if you need him. And another one that I like the most, I like Drew Lock. Drew Lock is somebody that
Okay.
you probably can pick up right now in a lot of leagues because right
Right.
now, fantasy playoffs, he's really not that guy right now because everybody's kind of set up with their quarterbacks already. If you
I
notice
actually
that.
have him in one of my leagues, and I wish I had played him. He did well,
Yeah,
but
he actually threw for 309 and three touchdowns.
Yeah.
So that's pretty big. So hey,
Yeah.
if you can grab them, grab them and go from there. Man, I had a few other names, but uh, I had
Right.
DeAndre Washington, but the news today
Yeah. That's what I was gonna.
actually going to play, so they kind of killed him
He
on the
I
waiver
think I
wire.
think he still gets in on some change of pace touches, but not nearly what you're not going to get what you got from him last week. Because I
Yeah,
picked him up for that reason, and I played him last week. But this week, I still say get him if you can, but yeah, you're gonna have to lower your expectations a bit.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Because he's
yeah,
not going to get. I read he was going to get the 25 carries that he was
right,
supposed if Jacobs wasn't there. But Jacobs actually is going to play.
yeah,
They say he
yeah,
terribly going to play barring a setback. And we'll see what
yeah,
the setback is. If it happens, then hey, you might want to go pick up DeAndre Washington. But other than that, I would roll with Jacobs this week.
yeah,
And I had Jacoby Hollister, but Hollister he is the number one tight end out in Seattle. But their number one tight end supposedly coming back this week.
yeah,
So we're gonna see how that rolls. But he was on the list. But that's kind of like more of a hit and miss thing for me with him.
right.
But that's what I got as far as my pickups. Do you have any more you want to add to it?
Well, staying with quarterbacks, Mitch Trubisky, I think, is somebody that's going to put in some work this week. We saw what he did last week.
Oh yeah.
He looked really good. In fact, the past 3 weeks, he's been looking really good. So I definitely think that's a pickup if you can get him. I'm going to go back to the Dolphins game. I know it's the Dolphins, but with the injuries that they're having there, I think you can pick up a little known Isaiah. I looked up Isaiah Ford, and he was actually owning 0% of Yahoo leagues. The people are starting to pick him up this week. With Devontae Parker in the concussion protocol. They have a running back, Patrick Laird, who's I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that one.
I seen him
It's
on the
it's
waiver
yeah,
wire.
it's one of those things. Well, I say like this: it's the playoffs, right? So if you're in the playoffs, you probably have a pretty good team. The only reason I would even really consider going to the waiver wire much this week is if you're one of those people that had like an injury. Let's say you lost Mike Evans, you might look at like a Brashad Perriman or Justin Watson. You can pick up. I kind of want to say a running back from Tampa Bay should have a good week, but the problem with them is you never know which one of the three running backs it could be. So I like somebody in that three-headed monster in Tampa Bay. I just don't know who that somebody is going to be. So it's hard for me to really recommend picking somebody when you just never know who's going to have the hot hand that day. That's the thing about committees.
Ronald Jones is actually supposed to be the starter.
Yeah, he's been named the starter, but that doesn't really mean anything. Exactly. The week he was named the starter, Peyton Barber out-touched him, had more yards. And Dare, let's see if I'm going to struggle with that last name. Agumbawale, something like that. But he's been good too. So
if I had to give any advice, I would stay away from
right
any of those backs in Tampa Bay.
again.
You probably can find better backs.
Yeah.
Out there that you probably can run with. But
What about your boy in San Francisco?
now,
The one that's making my Tevin Coleman thing look really bad.
see the shirt.
Oh, you. I didn't even notice you had the 49ers on.
Mustard, actually, I read something today that Mustard is supposed to be, he's overtaking the backfield.
Yeah.
In rushing as we speak, in rushing and touchdowns.
Right.
So, he only had 10 carries last week for about 86
Yeah.
yards and a touchdown. And he had three receptions and 40 yards receiving.
Right.
So, it's like he pretty much is
He's
that
the guy.
backfield guy.
I mean, a few weeks ago, I was loving Tevin Coleman, and now I'm like, well.
But he didn't touch the ball at all.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
And so, where is he right now on my team? Sitting on the bench.
exactly.
But if you can get Mustard, that's a good pickup, I think. So.
available.
Yeah, he's available.
In a lot of leagues.
Yeah.
He's probably. I think yesterday I looked at it. He was owned by like 39%
Yeah.
in Yahoo. So he's available to grab because a lot of
Mhm.
people don't really. That three-headed monster you got to think about. They don't really know who to trust because
Right.
Shanahan rolls with hot hands
Yeah.
most of the time. So Mustard been the hot hand lately, but Breida is back and he's 100%. So Breida may come back next week
True.
and that ball out. So you just don't know. Now, if I was somebody that needed a running back, I would take my chance on Mustard because you do know he's getting 10 carries a game and he's going to make the most out of those 10 carries. So I would definitely roll and try to see can I get him.
Uh-huh.
If not, this gen is something different. Try to go a different route with him. But I don't know, It's totally up to the people out there,
Yeah.
Again, if y'all have any questions, shoot them. We'll definitely answer them for you, and we'll go from there, Another thing I would like to touch on, JJ, we got 2 games this week, man. 2 games that I must watch, man. They're actually playoff-bound teams.
Well, hopefully, I don't say hopefully, but maybe playoff teams for the NFC game I know you want to mention.
Oh, yeah, that game. The Rams versus the Cowboys
Right.
is the first one I want to touch on. And then also want to touch on the Titans and the Texans.
Right.
And I want to, I just want to see who do you think has fantasy value in those games? So let's touch on the Rams and the Cowboys games first.
Well, I'm gonna go to the something was wrong with the whole state of Texas last week, right? Because we looked at the Cowboys, and right now it's like no one wants to win the NFC East. They keep trying to give it away. The Eagles are like, no, we don't want it either. That game, from a fantasy standpoint, the most relevant guys there are, Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper. And none of them were looking really good last week until garbage time. And that's when they started, putting up these last-minute stats that made them look good fantasy-wise. So going into this week, I'm going to still say I like Dak Prescott just from the volume as quarter. He's going to they've had one of the top offenses in the NFL this year. So I think Dak keeps it going. I like Zeke to keep going. But who I'm not as sold on out of those 3 is Amari Cooper. He ended up looking good, but he drops too many footballs and he can get taken out of the game just way too easily. So I for a playoff standpoint, I don't really want to rely on him because I don't know how well he's gonna do.
I might surprise you with this.
Okay.
I think obviously you roll with Dak and you roll with Zeke, but I think Gallup is probably the better play over Amari.
I like that.
Amari has not really performed, and plus Amari's hurt at the moment.
Yeah.
He's hurt, but the thing is, Gallup has averaged over the last 2 to 3 games at least 10 catches a game.
Yeah, he's looked good.
And against the Rams, that secondary is pretty good. So they're gonna key on Amari anyway, and they're gonna leave Gallup to get all of the catches. So if it was me, I would run with Gallup. As far as the Cowboys,
let me talk on Gallup for a second because I actually like that pick. I was actually doing a comparison since their bye week. Check this out. Gallup has had 52 targets compared to Amari Cooper's 50. Gallup has 28 receptions compared to Cooper's 32, 484 yards compared to Cooper's 433. Gallup has 2 touchdowns. You get 3 touchdowns for Amari Cooper. They're for stat, they're almost the exact same player. And I think you're going to get a lot more consistent play from Gallup going down the stretch. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you 100% on that pick.
Because I think Gallup actually had a really good game last week.
Yeah, he did. He did.
10 receptions and 106 yards. He did not score. But if your league is doing points per reception, you got to think about your scoring. So that's 10 points, and then that's another.
You're right.
That's 20.6. So it'll be 20.6 if you're looking at it. So that could win you actually win your game if you're thinking about it.
Girl,
So,
Gurley had me scared this season, but he like you said, he's back. He's
oh yeah,
maybe they was pacing him earlier in the season because you know how you kind of wore down at the end of last season.
yeah.
But he's back. I like him, especially if you watch how the way the Bears pretty much just ran over that defense last week. Yeah,
Oh,
I think Gurley can put up some really good numbers for you.
Also, I think last week the coach was saying that he was getting they was gonna get him the full plate because
Mm-hmm.
they said it was time. They
Yeah.
said he actually is faster now than he was last year
Right.
because I think the way they kind of took the pace this year with him,
Right.
and they actually kind of gave him time to heal correctly.
Yeah.
So, being that was the case, if you watched him last week, he looked a lot faster, and he ran the ball. You actually can tell that none of the other running backs really got in the game at all.
Since he's been there, I think it's obvious he's the most talented guy there.
Yeah.
I think maybe the injuries have slowed him down recently, but yeah, the way he's been playing lately, he's a definitely fill in for that game.
So definitely, and like if I had any fantasy advice for anybody going as far as
Right.
anybody playing in that game, it would be him, it would be Gallup, it would be Dak.
Leave
Obviously those three.
my wide receiver and I was saying the Robert Woods.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
been on point.
God.
All right.
He might be the best wide receiver out there, honestly.
Yeah,
To me,
yeah.
I think Cooper Kupp is a great wide receiver 3, but you got to think
Right.
about it. Kupp is not as gifted as Robert Woods. Robert
Right.
Woods is really, really good. He doesn't get credit for that as
Yeah.
much, but he gets open, and golf
Yeah.
looks for him, and golf looked for him a lot. They
Yeah.
ran like little sweep options, the whole type.
He got a lot of points in garbage time last week.
Oh, yeah.
But hey, for fantasy, it still counts, right? So
Everything counts to the end.
it doesn't even matter. So I like Robert Woods this week. I like Cooper Kupp too, especially in PPR. But I like Robert Woods better.
Oh yeah, if I
Yeah.
had to make a decision over the two, I'm going Robert Woods
Yeah.
because Robert Woods. If you watched that game last week, Robert Woods he really got a
Yeah.
bunch of the catches in the beginning,
Yeah,
and they force fed him the ball because he was just getting
Yeah.
open. And he's a great. If you notice, he's a great route runner. He runs
Yeah.
great routes. I noticed that last week. So
uh-huh.
I mean, I'm with it. I like him. I like Robert.
I like
That's
that.
really good. So I like that. Hey, you've been doing your homework. Boy.
Hey, that's I got to, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right.
And then going to the other game,
Uh-huh. Tannehill.
man, do you know his numbers? Tannehill numbers last week. Tannehill put up 391 and 3 touchdowns, man. Get out of here.
Do I know his numbers? He made the Raiders look awful.
Hey, I was like,
Yes.
doing my research, I seen the numbers and I was like, 391, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, if you think about it, he had the second best week as far as quarterbacks behind Jameis Winston.
Uh-huh.
And that says a lot because Jameis Winston put up 456 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Right. I want to get to Jameis, but before Jameis, on your boy Tannehill, since he's gotten started, there's only one quarterback in the league who's done more with him fantasy wise, and that's Lamar Jackson. So I'm with you, like what you said earlier. Not sure about long term Ryan Tannehill, but for this year, these playoffs, I'd roll with him.
Well, the reason I say not long term because
Right.
you gotta think about it. When he was with the Dolphins for those first 6 or 7 years,
Yeah.
he really only had maybe
One good season, right? He had a lot of injuries and such, but the thing about him, like you said, he was with the Dolphins, and they were like, okay, let's go with Josh Rosen and Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's all you really need to know about him long term. But for this year, I like him. We'll talk about next year. I'm pretty sure before the playoffs over, but I'm not as sold for
I know
that.
they're
But
kicking themselves. I know the Dolphins kicking themselves right now. But
I don't know because they from the beginning of the season they looked like they really wanted to tank this year anyway. So
yeah, I
I don't
mean,
know.
really wants to tank. Let's be real. So
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
who knows?
All right, who
But
else are you like in that game?
I like AJ
Uh huh.
Brown. I really like
Yeah.
AJ Brown, and obviously Henry.
Yeah.
Henry is just
Yeah.
an adult, man. Henry, he can't get down. Nobody can tackle him. Henry is
Yeah.
big,
He's.
man. Really big guy. So I'm like, I like Henry. I like
Uh
AJ
huh.
Brown. I like Tannehill. Those three I really like, and then obviously you gotta like Watson from
Right.
Houston,
I,
and
I
you get.
I think they're gonna come out really focused because they got embarrassed last week. It's like you're riding high. We beat the Patriots, and then you go in to Denver and you get it handed to you. So
Patrick Mahomes of
I'm
all
like
people.
of all teams, right? So I think they have a reason to come out. So Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, I think they'll do much better. Trying to think if there's anyone else on the Texans team I really would recommend for your playoff
I wouldn't
run.
recommend anybody else,
Yeah,
honestly, because I think that's going to be a shootout personally.
yeah,
Because both of them are tied at the top for that division.
right. So
So both of them
this is
come
an
out
important game. Yeah,
very, very important. Very, very, very important. Same thing with Dallas. See, but Dallas' situation
Right.
is with the Eagles winning this week,
right.
they're tied for that division. So even though it's a trash division, let's be real.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, somebody got to win it.
exactly. So
if the Cowboys come out there and they lose,
they
this
they
week,
they don't have room for error. They can't play as
No.
bad as they played these last few weeks. So
so
we'll see.
I get worried though because if the Rams win, the Rams actually
Right.
may make the playoffs.
Yeah,
They might get the sixth spot because of their record.
right,
Because that'll kick the Cowboys down to out of the playoffs. That'll put the Eagles in the playoffs.
right.
And the Rams are literally, if they keep winning, they actually can make the playoffs.
Uh,
So,
I mean, they were in the Super Bowl last year. No one expected them to be as bad as they've been. They have too much talent on that team, so they're not a team you really. If you're not the Rams, they're not a team you really want to play. You know why kick them while they down. So we'll see.
Well, let's see. I mean, definitely. You got any other games you would like to hop on, or you think that's going to be significant going into next week? Anybody you would like to talk about? That you think.
Well, I have a few people I want to talk about, but a lot of it is in context of what we saw in Week 14.
Okay.
I've been waiting.
Over this.
I put it. I put this. I put this.
Hey.
Not that one yet. That one's coming.
I know you're going there. Come on.
Oh, I'm definitely going. How can you not go there? That game was so good. But the first place I want to go, I put this tweet out on our page. I don't know if you read it or saw this one. Oh, hold on. Let me just say hi to Don. I see he's out there viewing. Good to see you, Don.
Got any questions?
Yeah, Don, you got a question? Let us know. Let us know. But I put a tweet out on our page earlier this week. Right? There was some guy on Twitter that was yelling at Brad Evans, saying, basically cussing him out, saying you should lose your job. How dare you recommend I bench Drew Brees, right? And then Drew Brees went off. He went off. He was playing against your 49ers. And so I think I can understand why a lot of people had bench him. And so I put out there, hashtag, don't bench your studs. Because it's playoff time, you got to go with the guys who got you there. We talked waivers earlier. I'm for waivers if you have injuries, but if you have a healthy team, I'm going with the guys I can rely on. I like Drew Brees to be good again this week, but I mentioned that whole story to say, here's my context. I would consider one of my studs to be Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
But he was injured at the end of last week. They say his hand's all right, but Andy Reid also said he altered how he called that game to account for Patrick Mahomes' injury.
Okay, man, I have a question.
Did you switch up how you handle Pat Mahomes this week? I think we've seen him play injured before earlier in this season, and I think he's gonna be okay. But it gives you a chance to at least contemplate what you want to. I have that question about him, and I have a question about another player. I'm gonna ask that same question for. But what's your thoughts on Mahomes so far?
With Mahomes, I really think honestly he has
Yeah.
I think McCoy, because you got to think those two
Right.
running backs are hurt. The
Right.
Williams brothers are hurt.
Right.
I would, if I was anybody, if you could grab McCoy, I would grab McCoy because
Right.
McCoy's going to get a lot of, I ain't going to say a lot of touches, but
Right.
he's going to get you 10 to 15 touches a game because I think they're going to be handing the ball off a lot.
That's what has me scared about Mahomes because he hasn't actually done a lot fantasy. Well, he's been good, regular quarterback good, but he hasn't been Pat Mahomes good in the last few weeks. And with that injury, I'm a little bit like, okay, do I? And the reason I ask it in most leagues, you probably use the first quarterback pick on Mahomes, so you might not have a better option. But going back to y'all game, I have Drew Brees in this one league, so I'm like,
Okay.
I usually don't sit my studs, but Drew Brees is a stud, so I don't really lose either way. So that,
I mean,
so that one,
I would start Pat Mahomes.
yeah,
Just the fact that, like you say, you drafted him one, especially if you're in any league that makes any money. You know how that rolls.
yeah,
You drafted him one, so you gotta play him. It's go back to play your studs. He got you there. You gotta finish with him.
all right.
That's what I just think. I mean, I don't know, man. I would play him.
All right.
And I'd roll with him and then go forward with him.
Same kind of question though. This one's not an injury, and this goes to it's still related to the tweet I put out there because one of the things I saw was you should bench Drew Brees and put in Tannehill, right? Was one of the so-called things. I have an opportunity here of Aaron Rodgers, right? He's a stud. He was the first quarterback I took off the bench.
Okay.
And so the question is, do you but bench an Aaron Rodgers to put in a quarterback of lesser rapport? Now, in this particular case, I will put in your guy, Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo's on the same league as Aaron Rodgers, but the way Garoppolo's played lately, I'm wondering if I go here online and say that Jimmy Garoppolo is a stud, can I do the same kind of thing I'm talking about with perhaps Mahomes and Drew Brees and say, okay, I'm going to put in Garoppolo because he's a stud today. Maybe not long term, much like Tannehill. Long term, maybe not as studly, but for these playoffs,
I'm gonna give you some numbers.
can you win with them? What you got?
I'm gonna give you some numbers here. So Garoppolo is fourth
Okay.
in touchdowns this year with 25.
Uh-huh.
And he's actually, I think he's 6th or 7th in completion rating, and I think he's in the top. I think the top 10 or 15 in yards.
Yeah.
Plus, last week he had 349 yards.
Last week he was phenomenal.
And the week before that, he played a good game. So it's like,
Yeah.
you got to think he's had 3 tough games the last 3 weeks. And I would start him over Aaron Rodgers, not being biased, but the fact because they play Atlanta. Atlanta can't stop anybody.
They have no defense whatsoever.
So you have a better shot of him doing well in that game than Aaron Rodgers actually doing better because they play Chicago.
Right.
Now, that goes to, and we'll jump on that segment next. That'll be starter sit. So, but that goes to the fact that I would play Jimmy G over Aaron Rodgers, and that's just me.
I think I'm going to say he's a stud.
I would roll with him because if you're looking at projection points this week, he's projected in one of our leagues to put up 78 points, and that's just a projection.
It's a very quarterback-friendly league, just so the audience knows, but still.
They get a lot of points in that league. So.
Right. Aaron Rodgers is not projected to put up that many points.
Not even that much.
Right.
But if I was you, I would roll with him. Now, I have one for you.
Okay.
Since we're on this subject of sticking with your studs, do you play Matt Ryan this week against the
Looking at what Drew Brees did, I want to say yes. However, with Calvin Ridley out,
Okay.
it has me a tad bit concerned. I think that game gives Julio Jones, obviously, a chance to put in some real big work. I like the fact that Austin Hooper's back.
Okay.
I Can the 49ers get beat that bad 2 weeks in a row? I think you play Matt Ryan. I have a hard time saying sit him because I have Matt Ryan in 2 leagues, one of which I'm already out of the playoffs, so it doesn't really matter. But in the other league where I have Matt Ryan, I do intend to play him this week and hope that he does well.
Do you start him over now? Do you? Because I'm in a little dilemma in one of my leagues right now. I have him. I have Matt Ryan, and I have Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
Do you start Kirk Cousins or do you start Matt Ryan?
I think on that one, I still go with Matt Ryan.
Okay.
It's close. Give me a reason to pick Kirk Cousins, because right now I'm thinking no.
I feel like right now the 49ers, we have a lot of injuries in the secondary right now. So if I like you said, I believe in stars and studs. That's who I started with. I drafted him as my first quarterback.
Right.
So right now, that's my argument to play him.
Right.
But my argument to sit him is the fact that we don't know which 49er defense is going to show up. That's the only thing that's kind of like, oh, do you really play him? And then you got Kirk Cousins, who plays the Chargers.
Right. The Chargers' defense is actually pretty good, and they're especially good against the pass. I think they're fourth in the NFL against the pass right now. Yes. So, yeah.
The thing is, in my mind, I'm saying I'm going with Matt Ryan. I'm going to roll with Matt Ryan, because he got me there. I'm going to roll with him, and I'm just going to do that. But it's like
because they're both playing against really good defenses. I think I have a little bit more faith in Matt Ryan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I also think another thing, they're going to be behind. So he's going to be forced to throw the ball.
The Falcons are always behind, no matter who they play, right? So, but is that okay? Let's see. I think you're going where I'm going.
Okay.
Go for it. I was gonna say, speaking of being behind, I have to talk about. I said earlier I was gonna get back to Jameis Winston, and Jameis Winston either made or broke you that first week. I have one team where I have Jameis Winston, and I won. In the other league, I was playing against someone who had Jameis Winston. It's a 2-quarterback league, and Winston alone put up more points than my 2 quarterbacks. So it's like, if you played against them, you probably had a bad week unless you had like someone like Drew Brees or Tannehill on your roster. So
actually,
right.
Drew Brees, Jameis Winston put up 456 yards.
Yeah.
And he put up 4 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown.
Yeah. And I think he had 2 interceptions to go with it.
4.
4 interceptions. Oh, man. Okay.
Now, it depends on if your league actually, how many points they deduct for turnovers. So we play in a league where they deduct 1 point.
Right.
2 points actually for turnovers. So you got to think about it. That's 8 points.
Right. But he throws so many touchdowns. Right.
So many touchdowns. A touchdown and a half.
Right.
He already made his points up. So it's like, does it even really matter?
Yeah, he reminds me, we talked about Jameis Winston a while ago. He reminds me, for you guys that play fantasy back a while ago, John Kitna would always throw a lot of interceptions when Mike Martz was his offensive coordinator, but he also threw a whole lot of touchdowns. And depending on, like you said, the scoring in your league, I can deal with interceptions as long as you're balancing them. And the way Jameis is playing, the interceptions don't bother me that much.
Nope.
And I like him. That we talked about some performance. I think Jameis Winston has a good week this week because they're playing against Detroit. You know what I'm saying? So they have no passing defense at all in Detroit. So I think Jameis can have another really good week.
See, but that goes back. They go back to the fact that what you said earlier is they have no running game.
Yeah.
So they don't know who to run. So he's throwing the ball 35 times a game.
Yeah.
So you got to think about it. If he's throwing the ball 35 times a game,
right.
at least 35 at a minimum. So he's gonna rack up that many yards and that many touchdowns.
Yeah.
He gets the opportunity. But now the thing is, with them being down their top receiver, the one that benefits the most from this is Chris Godwin.
Oh yeah.
Chris Godwin is gonna be a monster this week.
Yeah.
Like if you have Chris Godwin, you better play him in
everywhere you can. Right.
He's gonna get 15 receptions this week, and it's gonna be outrageous because nobody else to throw to. I mean, they got two tight ends that can't catch a cold, baby. Come on.
I was gonna ask you earlier if you thought any of those tight ends were worth playing this week. I couldn't convince myself to do it myself. Yeah, so I'm with you. I'm going with Godwin for certain. Then maybe Perriman and Watson, but Jameis Winston should have a really monster game. So I really like that.
I'm going with. I got Godwin another week, but if I had my choice, I'm going with Godwin. I'm going with Emmanuel Sanders, and I'm going with Robbie Anderson. I mean, I think.
Okay.
Robbie Anderson, last week he had 7 receptions.
Yeah.
60 yards and a touchdown.
Robert Anderson, he disappeared for a while, but he's starting to make his way back. I don't know whether I guess it depends, especially if there were so many injuries this week at wide receiver. I could see starting him if you had one of those injuries. If you didn't, I probably still don't want to mess with him.
I think, me honestly, I would. Who else they throwing to? They have nobody else to throw to.
Yeah.
So they have no number 2 receiver.
No one.
I mean, Le'Veon is coming back this week. He's
right.
going to get his touchdown in the backfield, obviously. But if you're throwing it down the field, and you got to think about it.
No.
Last week, the week before that, he had 4 receptions over 100, and he's doing straight flies. So he's getting all of that from a straight go. Okay, tight, going straight down the field, and they throwing the ball to you.
Yeah.
He's getting all of that. I mean, so he's pretty much. He's going to get the ball. And Emmanuel Sanders is just the best receiver out there in San Francisco. I mean, you got KB, yes. KB has been balling. And that's another one that you might can pick up from the waiver wire. KB is available in probably most Yahoo Fantasy leagues right now because really nobody's thinking about him. So he would be another one. But Emmanuel Sanders, he had 157 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he threw for a touchdown last week. So, Shanahan is playing around trying to get him the ball any way he can. So, if you got Emmanuel Sanders, I would roll with Emmanuel Sanders this week. Definitely Michael Thomas, obviously, because he's just a monster. And DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I think Hopkins going to come out and show out like he always is. So, those would be my top receivers that I would look at this week if I was anybody out there. Do you have any receivers that, outside of those receivers, that you think can actually help somebody win a playoff game?
You didn't mention Julian Edelman yet. I like him. I like him. I like Tom Brady. I mean, Belichick already had the video camera out spying on Cincinnati, so.
Yeah, we know about that.
Exactly. I don't think they really need a Spygate to beat the Bengals. I mean, but still. Exactly.
Y'all going y'all doing too much. Stop it.
Pretty much. But I think Edelman's gonna have a good game against them because they're the Bengals. Who doesn't have a good game against them?
I can see that.
Yeah. Actually, even more though. Well, more is probably the wrong word. I find myself surprised saying this because my general rule is I don't trust running backs in New England, but I like James White this week.
James White. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he catches out of the backfield.
He catches out of the backfield. Cincinnati's defense is unheard of. There's a reason they've only won one game.
Look, you're going to be surprised when I tell you my sit, because you're going to be like, what?
Okay.
I got some people I'm going to sit, and you're going to be like,
Let's get to it. Who are you sitting this week?
I'm sitting Tom Brady this week.
I'm hoping you're saying because they're going to be up so much that he sits down.
Nope. I'm
No.
saying because I don't like the offense.
The offense has looked bad, but I think the Bengals are a good remedy for that.
No. I don't think so. If I'm in a dire need playoff game to win the game, I think because they can't. Tom Brady, if you've been watching him for the last 3 weeks, the protection is terrible. Obviously, they don't have any receivers. I mean, outside of Edelman, like everybody else, you can't really rely on. And then the running game is a three-headed monster that no one wants to really pick up in fantasy. So I'm sitting him this week. If I had to win a playoff game, I'm sitting him. And then another one I'm sitting, obviously Amari Cooper, I'm sitting him this week. And I'm sitting Tyler Lockett this week.
Do you think he busts out of this funk before the playoffs are over? Because before, it's like literally look at his stats before their bye week and afterwards, and it's like it's not even close to being the same player.
Well, I'm gonna say this, and you might not remember this, but I'm gonna say this: he has not been the same since they picked up Josh Gordon.
Right.
And I told somebody this. I was like, man, I don't know about this, man. I don't know about this whole with Josh Gordon getting there because he's taking up a lot of his catches.
Yeah, he's a volume guy.
So he's a volume guy. So it's like, you watch Seattle, because they've been on TV the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You'll see that he's really not getting. He had literally 4 catches last week, and the week before that, he had 1. So I'm sitting him very fast.
I never thought I'd say that, but the way he's been playing lately, it's hard to really it's the playoffs, like you said. So you got to be consistent, and he has not been that.
And then another one I'm sitting OBJ. OBJ is kind of simple.
But I'm super starting Jarvis Landry.
Oh, very much. Oh, yes.
Right.
Yes. Jarvis Landry is actually on my start list. Him, obviously Jimmy G is start. I say start Jimmy G this week versus that Atlanta defense. Mitch Trubisky against that Green Bay defense. We've seen what can be done to that Green Bay defense. So I say start Mitch Trubisky. And Gallup, obviously. And then Chris Godwin is another one.
Yeah, he's a definite
start. Another one that you should start because of injuries is Chris Carson because Penny is
he's out, right.
So I would start Chris Carson over any running back outside of Aaron Jones and Austin Eckler and all that stuff. But you got to temper it down after that. But Chris Carson is somebody I would start this week.
Sitting and starting, based off what we saw with the Eagles and the Giants, what do you do with Miles Sanders?
Man, because that little guy came in this week.
I was playing against someone who had Sanders, and I watching this game. I was like, he didn't get hurt, did he? Did I miss something? And then I found out he was a little tweak. But then he came back in, and it really didn't matter because I think I read somewhere that it was the second coming of Darren Sproles, basically.
He was like, he was killing them on the screen pass, man.
He was on fire. I was like, yo.
Like, go pick him up. Then I thought about it. I was like, I ain't got no room for him.
What are you going to do with him? Right.
But he's available at like he's available 99% pickup in all fantasy leagues. Nobody picked him up. But he's probably getting a little steam now because of the week going by. But when I looked at him on Monday, he was not picked up at all by anybody. He's available to get there. But and another guy, I had a list of stuff that I wrote down, obviously, for research that we went over.
Right.
Another guy that you must start this week, and if you don't do it, you're absolutely crazy. Aaron Jones should be in your starting lineup for the rest.
I like him.
And if you don't have him in your playoffs, something's wrong with you. So you can start him. Austin Eckler is another guy. He had a monster game. He had 101 yards rushing. He had 100 yards receiving.
I was scared when Gordon came back that would really mess up Eckler, but they managed to feed both of them well. So you can literally start both of them and be all right in your
I
fantasy
got a
team.
question for you.
Yeah.
If you had, who do you start? Do you start Eckler or do you start? I guess I can't think of his name. We just said his name, obviously. The running back, Gordon.
Oh, Gordon,
Start
Melvin Gordon.
Eckler.
Well, I don't have to make that decision because in the only league where I have them, I have both of them. So, and the reason I made that come early because I've been playing both of them together for most weeks. But if I had to pick one, if I could only pick one, I think I go with Eckler.
Okay.
I think he gets more involved in the passing game.
Okay. I can
And
see
so,
that.
I should probably cover that by saying that all the leagues I play in are PPR. If it's not, that might change my opinion a little bit. But
I'm going Eckler
right,
over Gordon because of the fact, like you said, he catches out of the backfield. He took a screen pass 80 yards.
yeah, exactly,
So that tells you a lot about him because he took that thing 80 yards off a screen pass
Right.
and went distance. And then
he's basically being used as a wide receiver on that team right now.
That's
So,
it.
yeah,
A slot receiver.
yeah,
He put him in a slot and then using him as a receiver. He ran the ball 8 times for 101 yards
yeah,
last week. And that's like the average per yard, per carry. It's insane when you do something like that.
Yeah.
But they use them really well, both of them. They use both of them really well. So I can see what you're doing. You starting both of them. It makes sense.
Yeah.
You can actually win the game. So, I mean, hey, roll with it. Now, if you had any fantasy advice for somebody going into, because obviously most people are going to the second round this week, and
Right.
some are going into the first round. If you had any advice to give them before we go off, what would it be?
it's the same advice I said last week. It's the same advice I'm saying this week. Hashtag do not bench your studs. And on that, one more play I wanted to ask you about. I want to throw out before we run out of time.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson this week. That's tomorrow's game, and the Jets' defense against the rush is one of the best in the NFL. Do you care? I don't, because I kind of care. let me rephrase that. But I think Lamar Jackson is going to be good either way. I might temper my expectations for like Ingram in that case.
I would. That's a tough one with me because,
Right.
Lamar Jackson has really got you far this year. But the thing is, do they scheme that draw run play that
Right.
they run most of the time? Because you gotta think about it, Lamar Jackson is not throwing for 250. He's not throwing for
Yeah.
200 most games. He's running for 100 and passing for
Right.
100, and that's how he's getting all his points. Really, the last 2 games, if you're thinking about fantasy production point wise,
Right.
he's only put up, especially in our league, he's put up like 50. And
Right.
50 is minimum. for
Yeah,
our
that's small.
league. That's small for our league. So in our league, the thing is you can get up to 120, 125 points by one quarterback. Because Drew Brees put that up. He put up 110 last week. Jimmy put up 110.
Jameis put up almost 150.
150.
Yeah.
So when you say 50 points from a quarterback, that's not a lot in that league.
By
Now,
comparison,
you're going to
right.
someone, I've seen some leagues where he had 22 points.
Yeah.
But that's the scoring may be
Right.
different.
But-
I don't know. You roll with him because you know he's going to produce as far as running.
The reason going because like I said, my theme of benching studs. You probably, unless you're that one guy in our league we discussed last week, if you have Lamar Jackson, you might actually have better options that you can play
Yeah.
against the Jets. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
Who's your better option be as far as like? There's a lot of quarterbacks I probably would start over him. Like I would start Phillip Rivers over him.
Yeah, I would this week for certain.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers. Probably Matt Ryan. Obviously. obviously Trubisky, Jimmy G.
Yeah, there's usually not a long list of players I put ahead of Lamar Jackson because it's the Jets and their run defense is so good. It has me a tad bit concerned. I guess we'll see tomorrow night what they do with it. Yeah.
I just don't know, honestly. If you got him and that's your only option, yes, you start him.
Yeah.
But if you have other options, I would kind of think about it at least.
Right.
Because like me, if I had him and another player that was just as good as him, I'm starting that player that can keep me 100 yards passing. Because I know those yards that's going to add up at some point, so you have to throw the ball. Because the Jets might actually make him throw the ball and try to throw 25 times. We all know what can happen with that. You know, he's not going to throw for 250. He's just not going to happen. He's not that type of player. So we'll see.
What advice do you give people?
If I had any advice to give, like you say, start your studs, obviously, but also make sure you put your best lineup in, being that it's the playoffs. No matter what, you play who got you here. So if you got somebody that's been balling out, and you say, well, he got a bad matchup, you still play him. Because at the end of the day, he got you here, so you got to play him. You got to roll with him. Because you got to think about it. If you lose this week, you have to play him.
You're one game away from the championship. So you gotta make those good moves. So
I don't know if you noticed, JJ, but we're in 2 playoffs this week. In the same
we have I saw that earlier. We have a chance of meeting in 2 different championships.
We could be in 2 championships together.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So hopefully I'm gonna handle business on my end.
You ain't gotta worry about me.
Well, for one of them, I'm not worried. Well, no, actually, one of them, I'm very worried for you because you're not scared. Okay.
It's a mind thing with him. It's a mind thing. He like to blow smoke out there.
All right, I'm gonna have to make sure he watches this video.
Worry about him. I'm going to go ahead and knock him out.
Okay.
Now, I need you to win. So
right.
When we come back championship week for Fantasy Podcast,
that'd be a lot of fun.
Championship together, people.
We're gonna have to do something special if we're both in the championship game. We have to do it for at least one league, right?
Exactly. I think the one league we probably.
Well, I'm the commissioner in one of the leagues, and you're the commissioner in the other one. We can make it. I guess I shouldn't have put our nefarious plan up on the internet for everybody to see, but.
We're not gonna do that. I don't know what you're talking about, but we're not gonna roll with that plan, JJ.
What plan? I didn't say anything. No.
Hey, we're gonna stick to the strip, okay? We're gonna try to get a win. But I did notice that. I was like, oh man, I say we may be in the championship in 2 different leagues together.
Yeah.
I think, and I was like, that will be crazy because.
You know that means that we can't discuss strategy.
Well, you know what? It's part of our job to discuss strategy.
I know.
So, I mean, honestly, we have to discuss strategy.
I'm going to try to give you all bad advice.
Well, I'm not going to pay attention to you if I play you.
Then put subtitles at the bottom for the audience. Like, don't listen to my words. Do this instead.
We're good. So,
Yeah, it should be fun, though. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
Obviously, we got about 5 minutes. If you have any questions, give them to us. We can kind of hack them for you going forward,
Yeah, and if you don't have a question right now, still leave us a comment below, either here on Facebook or on YouTube. You can hit us up. I don't know if you have an Instagram or not. Instagram, yeah, you do, because you're one of my few friends. Instagram, Twitter, however you want to reach us, let us know. We'll try to keep giving you advice, or if you just want to suggest something for us to talk about, we want to get you in on the dialogue.
Saturday, before game time on Sunday, if you have any questions on who you should start, where you should sit, just get with us. We'll answer them on. As soon as you hit us, we'll hit you right back, and we'll let you know, hey, this is our opinion, who you should start, who you should sit, and who you should roll with, because it's a very important week for most people.
Yeah,
it's very important. You could be in the championship next week, and you could win your league, and you could be the man. I I know how that feels.
Or the
I
woman.
understand.
Listen. In one of my leagues, I'm playing against a woman, so I want to make sure I'm fair to all genders.
Oh, yes. We're fair to all genders now. Look, hey,
Yes,
if
yes,
it's a woman,
yes.
she can win too.
Hey,
We don't
she
play
can.
around.
Hopefully not against me this week, but other weeks.
And, going off the air, I just want to say, did you see that move by Kittles?
Oh,
Just
please.
come on.
I will say that there was a guy on this show last week talking about the Kittles being unstoppable, and
I
yeah,
did say that.
yeah, was that you?
Hey.
Yeah.
It was me. Kittles had a great game.
He had a great game.
Kelsey had a good game too. So just to hop on those two before we get off the air, but they did. Those two tight ends, had really good games.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about somebody else. The tight end from Philly. He had a really good game.
Yeah. Zach.
So,
Well, actually, they have two tight ends that have been doing really well. So you can't go wrong with either one of them right now.
actually, if you got both of them, you should start them.
Yeah,
I think.
I definitely agree with that. We didn't talk tight ends much today. We'll have to make sure we throw the tight ends a little bit of love next week. But there's only like 5 good tight ends in the league anyway, so the audience should already know who to depend on. And I might be nice saying 5.
Well, I don't know.
Well, no, that's probably about right now. You're right.
Yeah.
It's about right.
Once you go past that drop off,
Yeah.
everybody's equal at that point. So
Exactly.
Honestly, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit before we left, but they did have good games last
Yeah.
week. And I will hope everybody has a good fantasy week. If you win your games, congratulations. If you lose, come back next year, try a little harder.
Right.
You just do a little better. I mean, you just got to come with a strategy next year as far as how you want to draft and how you want to do certain things. And just, because with this fantasy thing, you have to be dedicated. If you're not dedicated, you're not going to win. So just be dedicated with it and kind of make a plan. Because that's what me and him do. And we got some special things coming up next year, y'all. I'm telling you. Y'all stick with us. We got some special things coming up. I'm telling you. Y'all get inside of our mastermind of how we draft next year. So y'all just stick with us, and we're gonna show you how this thing works, and you might can learn something.
Or teach us something. Either way.
So definitely, y'all be safe and have a good night. We
All
out
right.
here.
It's been good. Talk to y'all next week.
All right.
Peace.